Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. We're looking at the lecture that changed the world. A grandiose title, I know, but just having a bit of fun and just rubbing it in to the atheist world, just showing them that it's not going the way they said about Jesus, that there is evidence for him dying and rising again. So then I go, even the last 20 years, modern Jesus studies is plagued with many ideas of who the historical Jesus is. They're showing methods of shaping the historical material to fit the scholar's agenda. All these scholars wrote about Jesus influenced by their intellectual horizons and culture. It is not to say that they did not have some relevant insights into who Jesus was, but only to show they soon became out of fashion. Who was Jesus? N.T. Wright, SPCK, 1989. The new atheists have also not broke free from making a Jesus in their own image. The British scientist Richard Dawkins, Jesus is a product of the later church, a mythological figure who might have existed. He gives no analysis of any historical data in depth, page 119, 122, the God Delusion, to back up his claims. When he comments on the history of the church, he uses in the main secondary sources, and he does not know the primary sources he quotes, i.e. Gospel of Thomas. My critique of Dawkins, Hitchens, Onfray, and Sam Harris, is, to me, my mind, is absolutely devastating. Completely devastates the new atheist. The British journalist and writer Christopher Hitchens, 13th of April 1949, 15th of December 2011, in his book God Is Not Great, page 50, 51, 60, 64, 68, 89, 06, 109, I think that would be page 60, I don't know, can't remember, 109 to 1223, 1227, 128, 130, 152, 158, 159. In his polemical attack on Christianity, Hitchens' conclusion is that Jesus was an avatar of Seth, a Gnostic invention who makes more sense than the early church's fabrication of a historical Jesus. He spends most of his time attacking the birth narratives of Jesus, relying on the scholar Bart Ehrman for his evidence. Hitchens does not engage with any mainstream scholars who would disagree with Ehrman. Hitchens puts the four Gospels along the same dates as the Gnostic Gospels, failing to realize the Gnostic Gospel quotes the four Gospels, thus making the four Gospels much earlier in their production. The four Gospels are 1st century and the Gnostics in the main are 2nd century. Who Wrote the Gospels by Timothy McGrew, lecture on YouTube channel Apologetics 315. Hitchens shows no awareness of the culture of 1st century Judaism and how that relates to Jesus studies. When he does comment about Jesus, most of the time he sees him in the context of power, where religion is one of control. This highlights Hitchens' Marxist influence in understanding history. To me, this is just shows you how devastating it is to critique the new atheism on the resurrection of Christ when you can just rip apart Hitchens like that. The American writer Sam Harris, in his book End of Faith, page 35, 96, 93, 82, 83, 156, 57, 158, 241, 254, he sees Jesus as a Jew, but politicizes him at every turn. He understands Jesus' divinity and death as political tools used by the church against the Jews as a theological anti-Semitism. Jesus' birth is about a Catholic invention which had hang-ups about sex that we have had for 2,000 years in the West. It is no accident that Sam Harris is a secularized Jewish atheist and will see Jesus the way he does. Again, Sam makes no effort to really understand the historical Jesus, both in his historical context. He engages with no scholars who would disagree with him on his comments of Jesus. It is one-sided, highly politicized broadside against religions. And it's interesting when you look at these new atheists like Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and Richard Dawkins, when they write these polemical books, they don't actually engage with scholars who differ from them. Like I'm engaging with scholars who differ from me. I've engaged with the top atheists here. I've looked at their books, what they've said about Jesus, and I've engaged with them. But they don't do that when it comes to them writing about Christianity. They don't do that. Harris and Hitchens didn't do that, and Dawkins didn't do that. Michael Onfray, the French philosopher, in his book Atheist Manifesto, page 115, 127, said Jesus' existence has not been historically established. He makes great sweeping claims, but fails to cite scholars and evidence to back up what he says. He has even been noted to get his facts wrong. He said there are an incalculable number of contradictions and improbabilities in the body of the text of the Synoptic Gospels. He then notes crucifixion victims were not put to the rest in tombs. Jews were not crucified at this time. But solid evidence contradicts the French philosopher. Josephus said the Jews are so careful about the funeral rites that even malefactors who have been sentenced to crucifixion are taken down and buried before sunset. Josephus, Jewish War 4:317. So we looked at 4 new atheists, and we find these facts about their understanding of Jesus. All 4 ignoring engaging with scholars who might disagree with them. All 4 have a polemical agenda against religion. They tend to read the life of Jesus in the light of their political struggle against religion in the present. They tend to attack the virgin birth and see that as the main evidence against Jesus being a real historical figure. The rest of Jesus' life is superficially treated only to make a political point against religion in the present. This can hardly be seen as a fair, objective historical treatment of the life of Christ. So basically just demolish the atheists there, and I'm not just saying it, but that's 4 top atheists in the world, and what I have to say is 10 times better than what they say. My lecture has a lot more balanced, nuanced thinking than what they had to say. I quote numerous thinkers and numerous sources. They don't quote anything. They don't engage in opposition. They don't engage with other scholars who disagree with them. So yeah, if people listen to my lecture and listen to what I've said, it will change the world. It will make a big difference in the world. And I think it will change the world, because if just one person gets saved, it will have a knock-on effect around the world. So it's really, really good paper. It's a really good lecture, and you need to read it, digest it, and think about what I've said. I could have shown many other evidences, not just the Gospels. I've got another lecture coming in a few weeks' time on the Book of Acts, another lecture on Paul's epistles, another lecture on Josephus, another lecture on Tacitus, and I've got loads of lectures that I want to do, and papers and stuff like that. So this is just a small start of getting things out, and yeah, so read the paper that changed the world. Alright, take care.